this is a midweek evening meditation, but I actually am filming this meditation during my favorite time of the day, which is very early in the morning. My dog Titus and I have already been out for our first walk of the day. The coffee is hot and delicious, and in just a few minutes I will be off to the gym. But I love this time because it's quiet and it's the perfect time for me to be reflective and to do my morning devotionals. You're also getting the very vulnerable part of me because this is unfiltered and unmade up and raw. And I chose to do that because I've been meditating throughout the week since Sunday on the John text that we had as the gospel reading. Let me read a portion of it for you again. It comes from the 3rd chapter of John, and my guess is you all could recite it by heart with me because it's arguably the most famous and most well-known, most often quoted Jesus saying in the entire gospel stories. So Jesus is telling Nicodemus, this is the end of a conversation that they've been having about resurrection and new life. And Jesus says this: "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that everyone who believes in him may not perish, but have eternal life. Indeed, God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. Those who believe in him are not condemned, but those who do not believe are condemned already, because they have not believed in the name of the only Son of God. And this is the judgment, that the light has come into the world, and people love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For all who do evil hate the light and do not come into the light, so that their deeds might not be exposed. But those who do what is true come to the light, so that it may be clearly seen that their deeds have been done in God." I've been thinking about that, what Martin Luther calls the gospel in a nutshell. John 3:16 and 17. Martin Luther would say, what's the next verse? John 3:16 and 17. You can't have one without the other. For God so loved the world that God sent Jesus. And God came into the world not to condemn it, but in order to save it. And as I was walking this morning, and even though it was crisp, it was beautiful, and the birds were starting to chirp, even so early in the morning, which is the sound of spring in the morning to me. The spring peepers at night, but the birds in the morning. And through the dark, kind of brown, yellowish grass, you can already see patches of verdant green, soft new grass popping up. And for God so loved the world. The world. Not God so loved humans, not so much God loved individual. God loved the world, everything. This expansive love of God that loves every molecule, everything of being. And I was reflecting on that and thought, ooh, this is good. And when it gets lighter, I'll come back out on the walking path and I'll film myself talking about creation and our stewardship of creation. But as I walked closer to home and poured a cup of coffee, excuse me. I thought about that blessing that we're saying at the end. It's a blessing that runs all the way through the Lenten season. God has made you exactly who you are supposed to be. For God so loved the world and everything and everybody in it that God sent his Son to be in it too, to show us how deeply and completely and hopelessly in love God in Jesus is with the whole thing. And that love is transformative. And thanks be to God, it doesn't depend on where we place ourselves in relationship to the world. Right now, I'm feeling exposed and vulnerable. Certainly not put together, but at the same time, very real and in my natural element. And to be known like that, and to be loved, even in spite of that, is such an awesome gift. And this comes after what I pray has been 4 weeks deep of doing some real work of discipleship, some close reflection and examination of who we are and where we are on our journey of faith. And if you are anything like me, you have perhaps uncovered more rocks or stumbling places than you would care to admit. So what grace to hear this message straight from Jesus' mouth again at this part of our journey. Do not forget, beloved, that new life is in my hands. Jesus says, I do that. I give that. I gift that. I grace that to you. Exactly who you are and how you are and where you are. Because I look at you and all I see is belovedness. And how might we approach our neighbor, our friend, our loved one, knowing that that is a message that God does not direct just to the few, but to the whole world? And in a world like that, there is no place for division, only unity. In a world like that, there is no place for condemnation because that doesn't belong to us. That is an act of God and God alone. All we are called to be is those grace-filled, loved up beloveds of God. The one who loves us and calls us to be exactly who we are. May it be so, and may your journey continue to be blessed.